Guns that shoot fire, guns that shoot fireworks, cars that shoot fire, cars that are also fireworks. State of Decay 2 Patch 1.5 and the Independence Pack are out now, and while it might not be Independence Day in the United States because right now it's June 28th, it has not stopped Undead Labs from releasing this Independence Day themed update. And what we're going to do is gloss over the patch 1.5 notes, and then after that I'm going to show you all of the weapons and vehicles, a demonstration of them for the Independence DLC pack. The first thing that I want to do though is clarify some things about the new content. Patch 1.5 and the Independence pack are launching together, but they are separate things. The patch includes bug fixes and more gameplay features like more quests, and that's free for everybody, but the Independence pack has weapons and vehicles that are restricted to the DLC. The DLC, however, is a part of the Ultimate Edition, so if you bought the Ultimate Edition, your Independence pack is paid for. For everyone else, though, if you want those weapons and vehicles, it will cost $5. Anyways, let's get this going because there's a lot to cover. First, we're going to look at the patch notes, and instead of covering them word for word because that would be boring, let's just go over the major points. First up, we have the Revolutionary War Zombie, who is a normal reskin zombie. I've got footage of him after the patch highlights, so we'll come back to him later. Next, we have 20 new missions that have been added into the mission pool. This will help to cut down on mission repetitiveness. New Red Talon and network customized weapons are being added into the game. Presumably you will get them from trading with Red Talon and network traders. And in addition to that, this is patch 1.5 content, so this is going to be available to everyone. Also bear in mind that all Red Talon weapons now go by the RTX codename, so any Red Talon custom weapon you had, such as the Vector Ultra Compact RT, has been renamed. The Vector, for example, is now known as the RTX Piranha. Okay, on to gameplay improvements. From here on out, we're just going to brush over some of the interesting ones to not drag things down. So they've improved the walking, running, and jogging animations. They added a confirm button before euthanizing members so you don't automatically euthanize them on accident. It's going to be easier to get onto ladders. They nerfed juggernauts. The area of effect of their ground slam was reduced. They take longer to execute their victims now, and when you knock a Juggernaut down to make him executable, you're going to be able to start that finishing move earlier. But next are the nerfs to the 50 caliber weapons. The most important ones would be that the Model 99's magazine was nerfed from 5 rounds to 3. The Timberwolf has been nerfed from 7 rounds in the magazine to 4. The B50FG has been nerfed from 12 rounds in the mag to 5. What's more, though, is that the damage that 50 caliber rifles deal to plague hearts has been reduced. Before, they would kill a plague heart in 3 shots. Now it takes 6 shots, so it takes twice as many shots. In addition to this, if you combine that with the reduction in magazine size, it means that no 50 caliber rifle can kill a plague heart in a single magazine. So even the B50FG will have to fire all 5 shots and then reload and plug that 6th shot into the plague heart before killing it. And lastly, let's just gloss over a few of the bug fix highlights. We have fixes for co-op where the co-op players would find that the host's facilities would be invisible and the supply lockers sometimes would not spawn in and you wouldn't be able to use them. The Magnum ammo press mod now is making Magnum ammo instead of making 50 caliber ammunition and 40mm grenades for the grenade launcher like it was making previously. Ferals and Juggernauts can now use their special attacks to kill NPCs. And lastly, fixes for bugs that were preventing the legacy missions from being completed. And that does it for the patch notes. Some of this stuff is pretty interesting, even if you don't buy that Independence pack. And the bug fixes, of course, are always really nice, especially for new players who will not have to experience the buggier stages of the game when it first came out. Anyways, let's get out of the boring patch notes and into the gameplay with the new Revolutionary War Zombie. He's a normal, everyday zombie with a new skin, and that little hat on his head, as a bit of trivia, is known as a tricorn. What? How dare you attack? Let's talk about what you get in the $5 Independence DLC pack. Remember, if you have the Ultimate Edition of the game, you already own the Independence pack. Just like the Ultimate and the Prepper pack DLCs before it, the Independence pack's content is obtained through radio call-in. Unlike the Ultimate and Prepper packs, though, the Independence pack can be called in multiple times after a pretty substantial cooldown. So what is in the Independence pack? Let's find out. First, we're going to talk about the vehicles, starting with the Meat Wagon. At first glance, the Meat Wagon looks like it's just an everyday van that's been repainted. It's got the same kind of features, except it's full of meat, and whenever you honk the horn, it will kind of poop some meat out that acts as a lure for other zombies. The Bern Inator is a custom truck with a patriotic detail job on it and side-mounted flamethrowers that activate whenever you honk the horn. The fire is not for show, it will burn zombies, but it costs more fuel out of the vehicle to activate. And lastly, we have the Pyro Hawk, which is far more visibly customized than the others. It does appear to be based off of the Brogan vehicles, and what it does is ignite fireworks and other pyrotechnics whenever you honk the horn. What it does differently than the Bern Inator is that the pyrotechnics don't seem to do damage. They seem to just knock the zombies off of the vehicle automatically. And once again, the pyrotechnics do drain fuel out of the vehicle to use. Next, we have the 3 melee weapons, starting with the Grillmeister, which is the bladed weapon in the pack. This weapon is basically a war spatula, and it's kind of okay. It's better than average, but it's actually not as good as the previous DLC, the Grass Cutter. But the thing is, this weapon can be called in multiple times, whereas the Grass Cutter is a one-time call-in. The Freedom Ringer is the blunt counterpart to the Grillmeister, and it's very similar. It's actually worse than the Apocalypse Bat, but it's still better than average, and it can be called in multiple times. And then obviously for the lulls, they give you a barbecue fork as a close combat weapon. I don't think there's any difference between CQC weapons other than aesthetics, so once again, this is just for the lulls. The melee weapons are about what you'd expect. They are melee weapons. They're a little better than average, but let's move on to the far more interesting ranged weapons, of which there are 2. First, I want to talk about the Pyro Launcher, which is basically a Gatling firework weapon that is essentially going to function as the game's flamethrower. The fireworks actually act as a lure, so the zombies are going to be attracted to the blast locations, and then they're going to be burned. I tried this weapon out first on a Juggernaut, and it wasn't too effective. That's not too surprising, though, as Juggernauts are very resistant to fire damage. And then I also tried it against a Feral who just totally got hosed down by the onslaught of pyrotechnics. It was very cool. The Pyro Launcher has definitely made the best first impression on me out of all the stuff in the Independence pack. I highly recommend it. The other ranged weapon you get, though, is the Shank launcher, which basically behaves like a new kind of grenade launcher. It fires a timed detonation charge that stabs into an enemy and then self-destructs into a pyrotechnics display. This thing really combines a lot of features together. It has a lure from the noise, it has an explosive damage effect, and the hazy smoke that's remaining gives me the impression that it also acts as a smokescreen, though I was not able to test it to be sure. Unfortunately, I didn't find the weapon to be too effective. Regular zombies just seem like it's overkill against. The Ferals are much too evasive to land hits on reliably, and when I did hit a Feral, it didn't even kill him in one hit. And then while trying it on a Juggernaut, which I thought it would be most effective against, the Juggernaut was actually able to deflect some of the shots. They just ricocheted right off of him. Maybe I shouldn't aim at his belly, but that was an interesting experience I had with the weapon. Finally, let's talk about the deployable weapons, but first I want to point out that how do you get more ammunition? How do you build more deployables? Well, in the supply drop call-in, you will get a new facility mod that you can install into your workshop that will let you build all of the Independence Pack ammunition and deployables. So here I'm using the Block Rocker Fireworks, which is a non-lethal lure, meaning it draws the attention of zombies but doesn't kill them, and then I'm going to throw the bouncing Boruses at them to blow them up. And the Boris is a type of grenade that basically splits into tiny bomblets, and you're just going to see that it just doesn't seem very effective. The blast radius is really, really short. Maybe it's not designed to kill zombies, maybe it's designed for plague hearts and for larger targets like the Juggernaut, but I just find them both to be a bit meh. There are other distractions and there are other bombs that are more effective than these. Afterwards, though, I tried the XL Fireworks Shell, which is a non-lethal distraction, along with the Rain of Fire, which is a lethal distraction. The fireworks shells did not really impress me, and that's because it only makes the noise once. Yes, the range on it is wider, but I just value continuous noise generation from something like firecrackers more. The shells might have some kind of extra feature that I have not discovered yet, but so far I just think they're pretty meh. The Rhino Fire, on the other hand, is fucking badass, and it's definitely my second favorite offering after the Pyro Launcher. This deployable has to be set up where you're standing, you're not allowed to throw it, and what it does is after a short arming time, it will eject this ring up into the air, which will then self-destruct into a distraction before showering the area with long-lasting incendiaries that the zombies are going to wander towards because of the noise it made. But now I'm turning it over to you. Are you happy with patch 1.5 in the Independence Pack? Did my overview of the content convince you or dissuade you from buying the Independence Pack? Let me know down in the comments section. Subscribe to my channel for more State of Decay content, and remember, you don't have to be good to get good.